guys! Sorry I'm not here today to teach you, so I'm going to teach you on a YouTube video, and I hope you learn just as much as if I was here. And hopefully your sub can help you too if you have some questions. So today we're going to talk about factoring by distributive property. I hope you remember what distributive property is, but if you forgot, I'm going to remind you. So, thinking about distributive property, you have a notes page, so you can follow along on your notes page, take notes. We're going to review distributive property. So all you do is take this outside number and multiply it by both terms inside the parentheses. So 4 times y is 4y. 4 times 7 is 28. Okay, let's try this one. A times c. What do you think A times c is? It's AC. Plus A times D is AD. Okay, one more. If I do 4 times x, that's 4x. 4 times y is 4y. And 4 times 1 is 4. So hopefully you remember how to do distributive property. Alright, moving on. We are going to start factoring. And the beginning of factoring is kind of like the distributive property, but backwards. So one type of factoring is using the distributive property in reverse. So the first thing we want to talk about is greatest common factor. So we've talked about that a little bit. So greatest common factor, we're going to look at 2 terms and figure out what the greatest common factor in both terms is. So one way to do that would be to make a factor tree. So if I start with the 15, I know this has an x, but the 12 doesn't have an x, so that would not be a common factor. So if I start with the 15, I know 15 is 3 times 5. So if I go to the 12, well, let's see, 12 is 2 times 6, but I can break 6 down more. 6 is 3 times 2. So the only thing that matches are the 3's. So the common factor would be 3 in 15x and 12. So let's try this one. So 14m and 21m. Well, they both have m's, so a common factor is m. And then I'm going to look at the numbers. So 14 is 2 times 7, and 21 is 3 times 7. So what they have in common are the 7's. So my greatest common factor would be 7m. So we're going to use that to do the distributive property backwards. So if I look at 15x plus 12, I know my greatest common factor is 3. So what I do is pull out a 3 and then do parentheses. So now I have to think of distributive property backwards. So 3 times something needs to give me 15x. So 3 times 5x would be 15x plus 3 times something has to give me 12. 3 times 4 is 12. So that is my answer. So let's try this one. I know my greatest common factor was 7m, so I'm going to pull out a 7m and then do parentheses. So 7m times something needs to give me 14m. So 7m times 2 would be 14m minus 7m times something needs to give me 21, so 7m times 3 would be 21. Okay, so let's do some examples. By the way, I miss you guys today. I wish I was here with you instead of at a meeting, so you can feel sorry for me while I'm sitting at my meeting. Okay, let's look at this one. So I have to find a greatest common factor. I know that m is only by the 12, but it's not by the 10. So m is not a common factor. So we can do it like looking at the factor tree. So I know 12 is 2 times 6, but I could break the 6 down more. That's 2 times 3. Okay, 10 is 2 times 5. So the thing that they have in common is 1, 2. So I could pull out a 2. So I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to pull out a 2, and then think about distributive property backwards. So 2 times something needs to give me 12m. So 2 times 6m would be 12m. Then I do a plus sign. 2 times something needs to give me 10. 2 times 5 is 10. And that's my answer. I know it can be kind of hard, so hopefully you guys do okay without me. I'll be here tomorrow so you can ask me questions if you have questions. Okay, let's look at this one. This one, I notice, well, for one, my 2's in the wrong spot. I don't know why that little 2 is supposed to be up there. But I notice that I have a y in every single term. So I know I can pull a y out. Now let's think about the numbers. What's a number that would go into both 15, 20, and 30? What do you think it is? We could do the factor tree to try it. So this is 3 times 5. This is 4 times 5, which I know I can break that down more, but there's not a point because 5 and 5 already matches. And this is 6 times 5. So the common factor is 5. So I'm going to pull out a 5y because remember y is in all the terms. So now think about distributive property backwards. 5y times something needs to give me 15xy. So 5 times 3 is 15. I also need an x. So then I would have 15xy. Plus 5 times 4 is 20. I already have a y, so I don't need to put another y. Plus 5 times 6 is 30, and that's y squared. So I only have one y here, so I need another y. That's my final answer. So let's do a couple more. This one, do you see how there's an a in both terms? So I know I can pull an a out. What's a number that goes into 14 and 7? So can you think about it without doing the factor tree? Did you get 7? Because 7 goes into 14 and 7 goes into 7. So I'm going to pull out a 7a. So 7 times something needs to be 14a. So 7a times 2 would be 14a. Plus 7a, I need 7a squared. So I know 7 times 1 is 7. I need another a because a times a is a squared. You don't have to put the 1 there if you don't want. You could just have it as 7a times 2 plus a. Okay, one more. When I look at this one, I see there's an x in all of them. And there's also a y in all of them. So I know I can pull out an x and a y. What's a number that goes in 12, goes in 24, and goes into 30? So I know 2 goes into all of them, but is there a bigger factor that goes into all of them? We could do the factor tree if we want. So I know 12 is 2 times 6. I can break down the 6 more, and that's 3 times 2. 24 is 2 times 12, but I could break it down more. 2 times 6, 2 times 3. So far, I know I have a 2, and a 3 matching. Okay, this is 2 times 15, 3 times 5. So I have a 2 and a 3, a 2 and a 3, a 2 and a 3, and that's the only thing. So 2 times 3 is 6. I know I can pull out a 6. 6 will go into 12, 24, and 30. So I know I'm pulling out an xy. So I'm going to pull out a 6xy and do distributive property backwards. So 6xy times something needs to give me 12xy. So I know 6 times 2 is 12. I already have an xy, so I don't need to worry about it. Plus 6 times 4 is 24. I already have an x, but notice that y is squared. So I need another y, because y times y is y squared. Minus 6 times 5 is 30. I have one x, but I need another. I have one y, but I need 3 more y's, because that's y to the 4th. So y to the 3rd. And that is distributive property backwards. What do you guys think? Is it kind of hard? Don't worry, if you struggle with it, you can ask me questions tomorrow. I thought my joke was kind of funny. It's dyslexic, Jason. And they're like, dude, it's Friday the 31st, not Friday the 13th. He's like, oops. So I thought that was kind of cute. Okay. The assignment that you're going to have today. Whoops. This is your worksheet. Do what you can. Do the best that you can. The sub will have the answer key, so if you have questions and you want to check, you can do that. The first 4, you're just figuring out what goes in the blanks. So like on this one, I know I have 8m minus 6. There's a 2 out in front, so 2 times 4m is 8m. I have to figure out 2 times something to give me 6. So I know 2 times 3 is 6. That's what goes in the blank. So you do the same thing over here. On this one, I need to figure out what goes in front. So I need something times 4x squared to give me 12x cubed y. So I know this doesn't have a y at all, so I'm sure I'll have a y. This is x squared, this is x cubed, so I need another x, because x times x squared would be x cubed. Now what number times 4 would give me 12? 3. And then I can check the other one to make sure it works. So 3 times 5 is 15, and I have an xy. So it works. Okay, these right here, you're just going to try to factor the best that you can. So on this first one, I want to figure out a common factor. So what number goes into both 5 and 15? I know A is not common because there's not an A over here. So I know 5 goes into 5 and 5 goes into 15. So I would pull out a 5. So 5 times something gives me 5a squared. So 5 times a squared. And then minus 5 times 3 is 15. All right, let's try to find a harder one. Let's see. How about, oh, I think when I did the answer key for number 17, I thought 17 was really hard. So let's look at 17. 17, I know there's an E in both terms, so I pulled out an E. There's not an F in both terms, so I'm going to leave the F alone. I had to do a factor tree. I couldn't figure out what was common between both of these. So when I did a factor tree for 82, I know 2 goes into 82. 2 goes into 82 41 times. Then I did the same thing with 122. And I know 2 goes into 122 61 times. So the only thing that's common is the 2's. So I just pulled out a 2e. So if you pull out 2e, I need to figure out 2e times something has to give me 82e cubed. So 2 times 41 is 82. And then I need e squared. I need 2 more e's to get the e cubed. Minus 2 times 61 is 122. I already have an e, but I also need an f. So that's my final answer. I thought that one was kind of hard. All right, maybe let's do one at the bottom, maybe 35. So go down to number 35. So I had to figure out what number would go into both. I see that I have x's in both and y's in both. So I actually have 2 x's here and 4 here. So I can pull out 2 x's. I have 5 y's and 3 y's. So I can pull out 3 y's. Now I have to figure out my numbers. So I was looking at that 17 and I was like, oh, that's hard. But 17 times 2 is 34. So I can pull out a 17 because 17 goes into both of those. So I pulled out a 17. So 17 times 2 is 34. I need x to the 4th, and I have an x squared. So I need 2 more x's. And then I already have a y to the 3rd, so I'm good on y's. Minus 17 times 1 is 17. I already have an x squared, but I need y to the 5th. If I have 3 y's, I need 2 more y's. So it's kind of hard. Do the best you can. The sub has the answer key. If you struggle at all, just ask. You can ask and you can check your work. You can make sure that you're pulling out the right number. And again, I'll do questions tomorrow. And since I'm silly and I miss you guys, I promised one of my students that I would do a little dance. So here we go. All right, I hope you guys have a good day. I miss you. I love you. I'll talk to you later.